visuals, great characters, and great locations. So I'm going to break up this review into three sections: the visuals, the plot, and the characters. So let's start with the visuals. So the visuals in the movie were spectacular. They took us to many different planets, such as the swamps of Mimban, the spice mines of Kessel, and many other cool planets. In fact, they even introduced a planet from Legends, Corellia, into the Star Wars canon for the first time. So I thought the movie's visuals were beautiful. I thought the costume design was great, except for especially for Lando Calrissian. His outfits stood out to me, and I'm sure they stood out to many other people. Now, there's a lot of plot twists and turns throughout the story, and it will always keep you engaged. My favorite part of the story would have to be towards the end of the first act, when there's a train heist. You get introduced to Woody Guthrie's character and many other characters, and you get to see Han's criminal skills for the first time in action. I think this train heist is really cool because it introduced the Cloud Riders, the rebellious bounty hunters, I would say, that end up working with Han in the end. So that was really interesting. And then the last act of the film was interesting too. I still preferred the first kind of acts, but still, definitely, there were a little too much betrayals for me in the end of the film. Like Kira betrayed Han, Woody Guthrie's character, Tobias Beckett, betrayed Han. Just a lot of betrayals, and Lando just left Han, so that was a little bit discouraging, but I think all of that was still okay. I liked the reveal in the end that Darth Maul was the leader of the Crimson Sun, so that was cool, and I really liked how in the movie the villains driving Han Solo were not just the Empire. The Empire was just kind of there as like a police force to kind of watch over the smugglers and stop them if they're doing anything wrong. But the real villains of the movie were like different criminal syndicates. We started out with meeting Lady Proxima, who was this worm who took children in on Corellia. Then we go over to meet the Pikes, a criminal organization originally created in the Clone Wars series. Then we go over to the Crimson Sun. Now, I thought the Crimson Sun were a great new villain to Star Wars, except for the fact that the Crimson Sun, the name reminds me of the Black Sun, a famous criminal syndicate that is canon. So I don't know why they did that. They should have changed the name a bit to like Crimson Moon or something. That would have been a little bit better. I like the villain, or the leader of Crimson Sun, Dryden Voss. He is a subhuman who his scars would light up when he gets angry, so that was a really cool effect. And then, along with Dryden Voss came a number of artifacts in his room. There were a lot of Easter eggs behind that, including a Mandalorian armor, so that was cool. So, of course, we find out in the end that Dryden Voss is led by Darth Maul, although Dryden Voss does die by the end of the film. So, I thought the characters in this movie were okay. Some standout characters would be Han, of course. So Han, they recast him because Harrison Ford is getting older. They recast Alden Ehrenreich as Han. Now, I was a little worried he was not going to do justice to the character. And I think he really did end up doing some good justice to the character of Han Solo. He was not exactly like Harrison Ford, which I thought was good, because Solo takes place 10 years before A New Hope, so we see a more positive, more outgoing Han. I think Alden Ehrenreich delivered that. He kept the style of Harrison Ford, along with putting his own spin on the character. So I really enjoyed Han, and his outfits, I thought, with the jackets, really stayed true to the character and never strayed away too far from the Han Solo we know from the original trilogy. Now, another standout character would be Lando, for one reason, because of his wardrobe, but also just because it showed Lando's really easygoing style. He did cheat on the game of Sabacc. That was a reveal with the thing under his sleeve. But still, it doesn't make me not like Lando or anything. Lando's just a really cool guy, you know. His co-pilot, L3, I don't really like her too much. We'll get into her in a second. But it's cool to explore the relationship between droid and human. I think that's one of the most that's like the most heavily explored droid-human relationship in all of Star Wars. I know Luke and R2-D2 have a good relationship, but I feel like Lando and L3 are something more. Again, Lando's wardrobe was amazing. Really cool. But besides that, that's Lando. And I think he strayed a little bit farther from the Billy D. Williams character. Just because by the time you meet that Lando in Empire Strikes Back, he's settled down, he's opened a mining colony, he's struck it rich. A little bit different, but still you could definitely tell it's Lando. So, yeah. So the next character would be Chewbacca. Now, Chewbacca was really interesting in this movie because I was a little bit worried. I was worried because they recast Chewbacca a couple movies ago, and from the original actor who did the original trilogy. And I was worried he would not be able to deliver the Chewbacca performance we all needed. But he did, which was good. Luckily, I couldn't really tell a difference between the two actors, so I think he just performed a really good, solid Chewbacca performance and delivered the Chewbacca we've been knowing in a lot of movies. Now, as for some of the characters I don't really like, I did like Dryden Voss, the villain. I liked his costume design with the scars. I liked his new weapons, those brass knuckles that were kind of lightsaber, kind of. I don't really know how to explain them. And then I really didn't like L3. L3 in this movie, I don't know what Lucasfilm was trying to do. They were trying to put up some message or something. She was just kind of annoying, to be honest, and one of the down points of the film for me. Not to be negative or anything, but it's just, it's true. She's not the best character. Now, as for Tobias Beckett, kind of Han's mentor, the betrayal in the end really surprised me. I didn't see it coming. But that's not necessarily a good surprise because, I don't know, I feel like Dryden Voss is just, I feel like Tobias wouldn't do something like that. I feel like he has a better code of honor. But, I don't know, I feel like Tobias is just a copy off of what Han will be by the time he reaches, like, Force Awakens. So why even do the character? And the way I made peace with the betrayal is I said, like, as soon as it happened, I said in my head, oh, maybe he can be the villain of another movie, maybe a Lando movie, or maybe he could be the villain of the Boba Fett movie. Well, no. Han killed him. So that character's dead, and there's nothing left for him to do. So I was a little bit frustrated with that. Now, as for Qi'ra in the movie, I like the character at core. She was a smuggler turned gangster, and, you know, I tried to like her, but her constant betrayals and unbetrayals were just so confusing. For the last scene example, she started out by betraying Han. Then, she betrayed Dryden. But then, she goes back and stays on the ship and betrays Han again. So what does that mean? I don't know. The final betrayal just may be because of a Sith Lord that was revealed to be the leader of Crimson Sun, Darth Maul. Now, the Darth Maul reveal was cool, of course. I wanted to see him use the character for the Obi-Wan movie. But we already know what happens to Darth Maul in Rebels. He gets killed by Obi-Wan in the TV show. So unless they uncanonize that episode, which would be really strange, because one of the only reasons I really watched Rebels was to look at the canon and to look at the Star Wars canon and, you know, kind of observe that. So that, you know, I want to see him do more of the character, but I feel like right now Rebels is kind of a huge barrier between that. Another side note, I would call the Millennium Falcon a character now because it has L3 in it. You could watch a video about it. I'm not, it's because in Empire Strikes Back, and New Hope and Return of the Jedi, Han refers to the Falcons as she, and it makes a lot more sense now. So I thought the Falcon was cool in this movie with its blue and its escape pod. I can see with its injury sustained how it became the gray Falcon we know today. I was just wondering, the Falcon's been in so many movies. Do you think it'll get destroyed in Episode 9? I don't know. Leave it in the comments below. So yeah, the Falcon was cool in the movie. Not many other new vehicles introduced. We had a couple land speeders introduced, but besides that, familiar stuff. So yeah, I really suggest Solo. I suggest you see it as soon as possible. And thank you for watching my review.